of Dirisana of the involved universities. So it is SMU, UP and WITS, the University of Namibia, Maastricht and Welwitchia. And I think the Dirisana project actually gave us sort of entry into sharing resources between the different universities. So I think that is a big advantage. I think that is also a very good way of disseminating the information that we came up with. I think, as we were saying, nothing is really smooth, but we can say this is how we overcame that challenge, or this is how we're working towards overcoming that challenge. And I think that then is a positive effect. Introduction to research, and it builds up. And then with primary healthcare, it's also first just learning about primary healthcare and later really looking at the quality of healthcare. And the other component that it's linked to is the work integrated learning, or the clinical blocks. So we want students to be engaged in IPECP for 16 hours. The students have to practice those skills, otherwise they won't be able to apply it when they come to their own professions. So I, for example, expected the students to complete the ICF form, and they got marks for it in their clinical performance.
Wanted our student to go out knowing each one, knowing how to deal with different people outside, because it's important that the professionals must meet before they leave.
Suggestion is one facilitator for every 10 students that you send to the program. So the other suggestion is that everybody involved in clinical supervision also becomes a facilitator, because otherwise IPE stays in the classroom. And we want actually to make sure that the people that supervise the students during their clinical blocks are so aware of it, and they look for opportunities where students can actually collaborate. This morning we visited Rea, and they actually had a very interesting war drum. And one of the things they do there is goal setting, because the case studies must involve all the professions. They do case studies to simulate the patients, and then they present an ethics project that they think can improve patient care. Any suggestions?
With the role clarification there at SMU, it helped to really understand what each profession does. And then coming here, it helped me to really know what each person was doing for the patient. And
when we come into our own professions, we become so isolated in our thinking. So for the fact that we got to see what other professions do, how they can be incorporated throughout patient care.
The roles are different. It's patient specific. So maybe if we can just get more, then we can learn better from each other.
So I would say that it's important to do it from first year and include that in the orientation or something, so that everyone knows each other's role.
I think that's an important part of collaboration.
Did you reflect on that after you treated your patients? And after that happened, so with the nurse?
Well, it happened again actually.
You see, at that lesson you needed to learn.
Yes. And then, yes, I definitely handled it different.
After each patient, I do sit and reflect on the session, how I can improve, if there is a need for collaboration with other professionals, or for them to just take note what I saw in the session.
What I learned at the IPECP is basically about diversity, right? And understanding other people and where they come from.
I learned that as healthcare professionals, as aspiring healthcare professionals, we need to work together, because we can't work alone. We need radiographers, we need dentists, we need oral hygienists, we need dental therapists, we need occupational therapists.
I learned that there are, as much as there are so many professionals, and our common goal is to help people to improve the health of our citizens.
It also helps us to have good relationships and relate to each and every profession.
One of the things that I found very important in the IPC program is the optimization of patient outcomes. So it allows us to understand each other and understand our limitations.
What I personally learned during the IPECP program is that it's mainly centered around collaborative work for the betterment of the patient, because that's who we're dealing with.
Activity
activities, and we did a scenario where all the professions engage in one patient.
So I love the fact that IPECP is interprofessional education and collaborative practice, because we come together and to be a team.
They can hear and see the theoretical part of it, but taking them back into the clinics, it make it more visible, the importance how in the clinics, especially the one that I'm working in, they've got all these interprofessional collaborations. They've got occupational therapists, physiotherapists, they've got dental, oral.
We learned so much about different professions, but the IPECP really taught me, and I think groomed me, or was grooming me rather, as an upcoming nurse to even give better quality care for our patients.
And how to bring it to our setting, because for every clinical case that they presented or clerked, I wanted them to actually see where IPECP comes in.
When we're studying now, we actually have, or we're getting to make professional relationships.
And what I loved again is that people want to understand the difference between physio and OT. Because most of the time when someone be like, you're doing OT, and like, yeah, we're like, so you're doing the same thing like physio, you're more like a physio, and like we are not the same like physio. So I was happy because we were able to explain to people and they could see the difference between OT and physio.
What stood out for me was that it is important to know about each other's different scope of practice, but it shouldn't only stop there. So basically, let's take what we have learned from IPECP and incorporate it into our blocks and even where we go.
We want to learn more about each other's cultures, and so that also helps to form a better professional relationship. I think it should also be important that we attended should go to the other profession and from our side do more to understand the patient's condition and
Set up outside, have the students as a team interviewing the patient, filling in the ICF form saying this is what's wrong with him. So we will mainly be using the outside, not the inside.
Students can also do post-operative care of wounds.
Go with times and then enhance the way of teaching and learning.
By the time they qualify, then they've seen it, they played with it, and then they understand it.
So I'm glad I'm part of this, and I'm looking forward to growing and developing further in this, probably, maybe doing some research.
Because the whole intention is for first years to make friends across the professional lines and across ethnic groups and so on, so that they from the start can work together. So we want to have it right in the beginning of the year, and because the academic program is very full and very busy and there's clashes with timetables, it is a huge logistical arrangement to find a date and a time that suits all the professions. But I think we having had that challenges, it actually went very well.
One of our dreams is to have a community setting where we can take all our students to one setting where they can really see the team in action. So it is an ongoing process. I think we have started really, like we said, from grassroots level. So I think if we look at where we are now and how many people we've actually convinced of the value of IPECP, it is making progress.